you and I didn't come up in a time when if I needed to tell you something, I could just send you three emojis and, a thing in a
Hmm.
text. Like I had to pick up the phone or I had to go see it. We had to
Yeah,
meet
you
at the
had to go over.
gym and get
Yeah,
a workout in and go out and
yeah,
talk about some stuff or whatever.
yeah.
And so that's a, so I don't default to that. I'm like, if I need to know something, I'm tend to want to pick the phone up and say, hey, I have a question. Right.
Hey, welcome back, guys. This is our podcast for BrandLyft Marketing. We've got a special guest today. His name is Shawn Arnold. He's the Executive Director of Corporate Partnerships at Mercer University. Shawn plays a key role in connecting businesses with one of the most respected institutions in the region, helping to create partnerships that drive real value on both sides. Today, we're going to talk about how marketing and relationships come together to create long-term growth. So, Shawn, glad you're on the call today.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. Some quick background. You and I was doing the math earlier, probably almost 30 years now that I've known you, been friends. And one thing I've admired about you over the past 30 years, you've slowly went up that ladder, so to speak, either with different companies, you've had your own businesses and exited, I think, one in the past couple of years. So uh, kind of same on this side. So we've both been making that climb together. So crazy that I think back of, uh, just hanging out and doing things, from 30 years ago. And now we're both got all these responsibilities and jobs. It's crazy. So I wanted to thank you for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to believe it's been that long. It goes by, oh gosh, it goes by quickly. Sorry, my phone just started
You're
ringing.
fine.
Um, but I need to silence this. But yeah, it goes by fast. I
Yeah.
mean, it's weird how fast it goes by. Um, but it's a fun road and I'm still on it.
Yeah, yeah. Here we are in our 50s. I'm mid 50s, and I think a lot of the books that we both read too. Sometimes this is really our productive years is in our 50s. But I wanted to kind of dive in today. Most people that's watching this know that we have a marketing agency, but a lot of what you do has a lot of marketing involved. So I've kind of got a few questions. I'm the top. I'm gonna write down my questions and I'll just read the questions because I'm not trying to just be a off the cuff type of guy today. So first question for you is in today's world, how do you balance traditional relationship building with modern marketing strategies when developing your partnerships? How do you couple like the personal side with the marketing and automation side?
Yeah. So let me preface this by I think the answer to this question is different depending on what kind of business you're in. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
if your business, because I know you'll have a lot of different kinds of people that'll watch this, I think if your business is transactional, right?
Hmm.
Where we have a thing, you're going to buy a thing, you go away, you know, fix my roof, clean my gutters, buy a lawnmower, uh, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and that's not to say that there aren't relational elements to those. But I think some of those where it's either a purchase you purchase things you don't only purchase once every once in a while,
Hmm.
or over a long period of time, or they tend to be maybe smaller in value, right? So it tends to be a quicker. I think hard marketing or what I would consider hard marketing, right? Which is going to be when I think about that is, website leads, advertising,
Hmm.
social, those kinds of things. I think that that's more because it becomes a bigger function in that scenario. Number one, I think if you have a smaller value, not value, a smaller priced item, you
Hmm.
got to sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
So the one-to-one thing gets harder, right? Because you can, if I'm trying to sell you a $3, you know, charger for your car,
Hmm.
car chargers don't cost $3. They probably cost $25, but whatever. I need to sell 100,000 of those. I can't have 100,000 conversations,
Hmm.
right? I
Hmm.
think as you move up the service ladder, it goes the other direction. Like I don't because think about you like there's a few weird, funny exceptions, but largely the higher value the item, the more time it's going to take to close the deal, the more conversations you're going to need to have if you're the
Yeah.
buyer. Like I'm going to ask questions. I'm not just going to spend a
Oh yeah,
hundred
yeah.
thousand dollars on something, right?
Can,
Like that I've never seen anyone.
can you talk to that point? Because I'm glad you took it down that road. In your world, obviously, what you do, you're not talking to someone today and the deal happens tomorrow. I
No.
know there's a long life cycle, probably months, sometimes maybe even years before those things happen. Can you kind of start with that? Tell me what that looks like, because like from both angles, the relationship side of it, obviously, personal side, where you're trying to reach out to them, and then how does that come together with like maybe the automation side? How do you bring that from first initial contact, hi, my name is Shawn Arnold,
Yeah.
to whatever, a year later, you and that company or whatever organization is like, okay, yeah, we want to help you guys. Let's come together.
Yeah.
How does that kind of work?
So I think so two things that are important here, and this is I started going down this sort of transactional versus, relational, idea.
Yeah.
I think that two things that are important to remember is number one, all things being equal, people will always buy from someone they like.
Hmm.
So if I'm looking at three vendors to do anything for me and they're all basically the same and I go, I like this guy the most, I'm gonna pick that's gonna be the arbiter of my decision. It's like I like that one. They're all the same, so I'm just gonna go with the guy that I like. I like to talk to, I like to deal with, we've got things in common, like whatever that
Yep.
is. And
Yep.
I just think that's universally true, right? Maybe there's exceptions, but you can book that, I think, as a rule. Um, the second thing I think that people, and this is an important thing that I talk about when I think about anybody selling. When I say selling, I mean engaging someone in a revenue in a function where you're trying to ultimately get a deal come out of it, right? The only reason that anybody buys anything is that if is because it solves a problem for them. I just believe that's true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In retail, there's maybe some exceptions, like when you think about luxury products, like if I'm going to buy a Rolex or a Maserati or something like that's maybe a little different. You're still solving a problem, like someone wants to be able to tell time, someone needs to drive from here to there, but it leaps into another realm. But when in the business world, you're a business owner, I'm a business owner. Like I'm not just out buying stuff for fun. Like if I'm
Hmm.
going to go spend money, I need it to. I'm trying to go. We have a thing we need fixing or solving or improving. I'm going to go buy
Yeah.
something that's going to help that happen,
Yep. Yep.
right? And usually it needs to be tied to revenue,
Yeah.
right?
Whether it's revenue or time, if you're speeding up
And
time.
and time is revenue, right? I
Yep.
always think, and that's another thing that I do for everything. And my wife, it bugs her, but like everything I do, I think of it in the concept of like an hourly rate.
Yep.
I think that's an
Exactly.
important
Same.
exercise for anybody. It's
It
like, well, what's
is.
the hourly rate, right? So
Yeah.
that's how I'll even evaluate pricing in areas that I don't know anything about. Like I hire someone to come over here and build something, and I'm like, well, how long is it going to take? And they tell me, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm paying you $1,200 an hour. That's not that can't be right.
Right.
There's no marketplace where that makes sense unless you're Leonardo da Vinci, like, and you're the
Right.
only person in the world that can paint this thing or whatever, but
Right.
you're
Right.
not.
Right.
So, okay. So considering those things, right? People, all, all things being equal, buy from who they like, and you have to solve a problem. Whenever I talk to someone, I selling's not telling that I'm going to throw a bunch of these old adages at you. Like I think a lot of people think that selling is about talking and like pitching value and there are points in the process where I do think you need to pitch value, but I like to lead with basically going, all right, look, this is what we do and I want to better understand what you do and I want to figure out how we can provide value for each other. So I think it's going like to me framing anything as a partnership is stickier than just me being a vendor. I don't ever want to be a vendor. Even if you're selling vendory products, like don't make it feel like a vendor. If a customer believes that you're invested in what they're trying to do and that you're trying to advance your business and meet goals and
Hmm.
revenue goals and all that sort of stuff, but you're
Hmm.
also what you're doing is going to help them do the same thing. Like we're
Hmm.
in this boat together.
Hmm.
If you win, I win, that's that to me, I'm more comfortable with somebody that approaches me that way if I'm the buyer. So when
Hmm.
I'm the seller, I take that same approach.
Yeah.
So when we talk to a partner, I'm like, listen, I'm not just asking you to write me a check, right? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish as a business? What are your things right now? Do you need to generate revenue? Do you need a better brand presence? Do you need your people to be educated? do you want them to upskill so they can be more productive, which in
Yep.
turn leads to more revenue? And let me tell you now, once I listen, and I need to understand what that person's primary goal is, because it's going to be different for every single customer.
Oh yeah, everyone. Yep.
And so then I'm going to reframe the conversation to say, all right, this is how I can solve the main problem that you want to solve. I can help you solve that problem. And that's to me. And then I think once you're at a point where people will be honest with you, and that's the thing, you got to get past the early stages. They may not be as forthcoming. You're building trust at that point,
Yeah.
and you're building rapport. And then when you get to a point, you feel like, okay, I'm getting some honesty from them about, well, you know what, we don't feel like we've got enough of a footprint in this area, or we feel like our brand, we're getting beat real bad by competitors, or, my people, my people are getting hired away because other places are sending them to school or giving them training. So I got to try to keep
Yeah.
up with whatever that is.
True.
I'm going
True.
to then just pivot my entire message to talk
Yep.
about how we can solve that problem.
Yeah.
And I might have all these features and benefits that I think are so important. And I may not even talk about them. Like we'll talk about them later, but
Yeah.
I need them to engage with me. And then once we start working
That's
together,
it.
I can dive in and start focusing on the other stuff.
Yeah, even at your level, or even like you said, even in the like if we walked into a t-shirt uh, business or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like once you find out what they're looking for, like you said, you can pivot to go down that road because they're really, like you said, they just want to solve a problem. And when you were talking about the partnership side, it made me think too, like every time on we call them discovery calls. If somebody books a discovery call with BrandLyft Marketing, I get on there. And ultimately, it is a transaction if we close the deal, but I don't position it that way because we want them to know that this is a partnership. Like we're not on their payroll, whatever, so to speak, but we are partners. Like once, and like you were saying, once I take them down that road, it's like, look, we're going to help you with this, this, and this. We look as like we're your partners because we want them to think that way. And once they think that way, that separates us from other agencies because there's so many, Shawn, out there, agencies that are just transactional. Oh, we got a, $997 a month package here that does your social media content, SEO, blah, 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 blah. We're not that. Like you said, it's a one-on-one, who are you at right now? Where do you want to be? What's your biggest problem? If I can fix that problem, what will you be able to do beyond that? And that's really how simple discovery calls can be for us. I know it's so much deeper for you guys, but like you said, relationships definitely matter. Partnerships matter. Last part I'll say is that this will be 7 years in June for us as a agency, and we would not have been able to get to where we're at right now with growth if we wouldn't have made, had, some partnerships along the way, some collaborations, different things, relationships, us getting out, just like you go out to business events and network events, we've had to do that too, even in a marketing agency. And because of that, we've met so many smart people and been able to collaborate with them and come up with new offers just across the board. So, yeah,
Well,
I
you
can't say
can't.
enough about the partnerships and relationships.
Well, and then the not learning is a great ancillary benefit. That's the other thing is that's the whole. There's again, it's a little bit cliched, but the whole idea of that there's no unvaluable engagement. I believe that. Like even if it doesn't lead to a deal, you're going to
Mhm.
learn something,
Learn.
right? And that's how you go, all right, like this is the old like, well, I didn't fail 90 times. I figure out 90 ways not to do it. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just getting closer to the
Yeah.
right way, right? So, and not to say that there's not, like okay, we there's a tactical problem. You lost 90 deals because we need to get better at one thing or another. That can certainly be true.
Yeah.
But it's like try to just extract what you can. And to me, and I've always largely been in service businesses. They tend to be businesses where the spends are larger. They're the thousands of dollars per month or hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. So they're not, again, things that people do quickly. Um, I think everything is hand-to-hand combat. I mean, and that's just,
Yeah.
it's the old, again, cliche number. We need a bell to ring every time I say cliche, but one of my early mentors said, hey, look, it's a contact sport. The more
Yeah.
contact you make, right, the better it's going to be. And so I'm just a that's I this is what I do. And that's, not to turn into the get off my lawn guy, but I think generationally that's something that's a challenge right now because right. And that's not
Yeah.
to say that I don't use Teams and Slack and
Yeah. Yeah.
when it
Sure.
makes sense, but
Yeah.
I'm not afraid,
Yeah.
right, of engaging in that way.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that that's going to become even more important. Me and my other partners talk about this all the time. With so much AI and automation just coming at everybody, I think over the next few years that more and more people are going to crave that one-on-one, that touch, that authenticity of like just conversation like we're doing right now. They're going to miss that. And I can only speak for our world, in the marketing agency world. I'm already seeing that effect of it. Like we're staying on the personal side of things. Like there's a lot of agencies that are falling off now, marketing agencies, because they're trying to do all the AI stuff and they're maybe doing it successfully, but they're still missing the part, which is, getting on the calls, making sure you're getting things done. You can't just, like I said a minute ago, you can't just AI yourself to riches in the agency world at all. So a lot of those are dropping off because they're not trying to keep up as well. I was looking at a marketing agency yesterday online, um, a competitor, and there was nothing in their cycle to where they have any kind of AI involved. So if you're not in AI, you're going to get left behind. This kind of takes me, Sean, to the next one I wanted to ask you. All these things that we're talking about, this is kind of a lot of what a lot of people want to hear. It even in your role at Mercer University, are you currently using AI and automations to help identify, reach, or nurture your potential partners? How do you use that, and keep it how do you keep the personal connection even though you're using new technology? I guess that's
yeah.
the question.
So we are as a university still trying to honestly figure it out. I mean, Mercer's $1 billion business, which a lot of people don't think about. So
Yeah,
it's not like it's just there's eight of us and we can just go decide we're going to do some stuff. Like there's a lot of things affected.
yeah,
I'm actually one of the leads on our AI working group for the
yep,
university that's looking at just holistically. And
yeah,
for us too, it's not going to apply uniformly, right? Like the med school has different needs than the business school, and the general university has different needs, and the admissions office and the fundraising
yeah,
group has different needs. So we're looking at it divisionally, how. But for me, and I get asked this question a lot because my company I exited from was in the AI space, and people tend to want to ask me questions about it because they're trying to figure out how. So this is, I think, like, listen, if you're a newbie and you're trying to figure out I think a great entry point is just figure out low hanging internal fruit. I'm just generally not a whole hog guy anyway. Like, I think you get in trouble when you go, I'm going to radically change my business and dive in feet first and do this big giant thing. And I haven't done
mm-hmm,
it's like, wade in, man. You don't have to jump in the deep end. You can go shallow to deep, right? And figure it out. So for us right now, and for me personally, and I have some experience, is use AI for stuff that it literally is simple for you to figure out how to do it and it can radically improve your processing time. So I'll give
yeah,
you an example. For me, I have to write a lot of executive summaries or documents that outline like, okay, because like our partnership deals don't look the same, right?
all
Because
right,
what I just talked about, right? Like based on what we just said, I mean, I want to focus on the things that they need.
yeah,
So the first thing is I use an AI assistant for everything. So every time I have a phone call, I've got AI listening and I get a summary of the call. Like that's like what a
yeah,
time saver. Like
sure,
I
sure,
used to be the giant note taker, or I was
yeah,
sitting here
yeah,
banging on my keyboard. Well, that's one right away. You can do that right now. There's 1,000 of them,
yeah,
right? You can go find. Zoom's got, but most of them have built in now. But there's Fireflies. There's all these different ones.
yep,
So get somebody that'll just listen to your phone calls and give you a recap. That's a great start. Um,
absolutely,
then the second phase is like for me, it's like, okay, I used to spend all this time building these like 6 page documents. Well, now I don't do that anymore. I just drag in all my conversations, tell it what I'm trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? Tell it what the goals are, if I've got pricing structure, if I've got, and just write that in really gross, unprofessional language,
Yeah.
right? Just NLP, right? Like natural language
Yeah.
processing, and go, give me something. And I'm still going to take that and make it right because it's not going to be exactly right. But I mean, I just bought myself hours of like just
Absolutely.
physically putting a document together. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, or going, hey, look at, I've actually just been building a little agent now because we're doing some hiring. And this is my ignorance because I haven't done a lot of hiring like this, it recently, but I'm building a little agent where I can just throw resumes in and I'm getting it to build me a relativity score. Like just
Yeah.
going, I need you to read all
It's
these
perfect.
resumes and I'm going to give you some criteria and you tell me which resumes I need to look at first.
Yep. That's perfect.
And in the past, if I had 90 resumes, I'm like, open resume, try to scan it.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
is it is it good? Is it bad? Is it I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
You kind
And
of
then
get your
you
top 10 right at the top. So you can just go with that. I love what you just mentioned. Like, and a lot of people that may watch this, they're probably already using some type of AI, but you're right. At the very least, if you're doing Zoom calls, make sure you're using the AI notes like that. Another big one that I just started using just in the past week is called Whisper, WHISPR. Anybody that's listening want to go look it up.
I use
Maybe
Whisper.
$14 a month. I've got it on my computer so I can mash the control and then the window button and talk. So now instead of no, I don't do long emails anyway, but even a paragraph or two, you just talk, let it do that. Same thing with your AI, like when you go in GPT, Claude, or anything, just talk. And what you said, you can save already several hours a week just doing what Shawn mentioned with your note taker on Zoom or other calls. Same thing with Whisper. And then the last part would be that at the very least, you got to have those things if you want to speed up some time. But then the next part, and me and Shawn have talked about this before, like with what we do, like we have now even big franchises coming at us with a lot of locations because they see our videos, they see our website, do an AI voice. Like
Mhm.
there's so many companies out there, Shawn, that say that, oh yeah, we missed some calls, but our voicemail handles it or our uh, call center handles it, but that's not good enough anymore. So AI voice, it's gotten so good now, and we're just about to roll out outbound AI voice as well. The one of the things that's been around for a few years, the AI, what we call AI text bots, they're so good and it's so simple. Like if somebody's got a website, and I'm not saying Mercer, but anybody's got a regular website, if you got a web form on there or a web chat widget on there, when someone gets on there, hits submit, we can make those bots start talking to that person, getting them warmed up at least, because it goes back to the time saving thing. That's a part of AI saving time. So if you got 100 people in 1 month that you might have had to pick up and decipher through, or 100 back and forth text bot things, get them to the point where they raise their hand and say, I'm ready to buy. That is huge. That's
Well,
like not only time saver, but the money is
yeah.
is ridiculous.
And I think that serves for me, a production, master, but it also serves to me a client services master because existing customers that just need a quick answer to something, you know what I mean? Like you can, so if you
Yeah.
take the university and go to the next, so that's all just at the individual level, right? How
Yeah.
everybody can use AI to help improve their individual production, right? So for us, the same thing. Like we have, like obviously students, right? Like we have prospective students, right? People that are considering coming to school, right, at Mercer, right? So when you get into like those kinds of bots, like we want them to be able to go, hey, we want to talk to you. We want you to eventually talk to somebody. But if you
Yeah.
just want to know real quick, like, give me some basic information. Give me, let me understand, am I admissible? Are my grades good enough? What kind of programs do you have? Do you have intramural sports? What kind of restaurants are in the student center? I mean, these are all just things that, we know and are fixed. So the degree at which we can look at those systems, and it's going to be different for fundraising, it's going to be different for
Mm-hmm.
admissions. And so
Mm-hmm.
now we're looking at how we're using AI in those buckets. And then all the way up for us, where we have these really sophisticated things that are not only are big back end business things, but are also, in our case, there's a regulatory element. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, much like HIPAA, which I think everybody knows, right? The protecting of health and health information, or PCI, which most people know is the protecting of people's, credit card
Right.
information, or PPI, right? Which is just you have to take care of any data you collect.
Yeah.
Well, for us, student information is a regulated space, right? Like we have to be very careful about a student's grades and their personal data and their social security numbers and all these sorts of things. So,
Hmm.
but we have things that we could do better internally if we were to leverage some automation or AI, but we can't just put it in a multi-tenant environment. We can't have retention. And I know these are words maybe people don't know, but it's like that data can't just be out floating around in the open internet, right? It's like we have to. So if we're going to use AI for that, we got to get with a company to go, look, I need a private space. It can't touch anybody else's data. You can't save it. It can't be used to train other AIs because we have a regulatory responsibility
Yeah.
to protect this information. So there's levels to this ish. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's like
Yeah.
there's all these ways, but as you get farther up the chain, there's more things to consider. And AI can solve problems in all these areas, but implementation gets tougher as you move up because there's more boxes to check. But
Absolutely.
but as you get more comfortable understanding, I think, how it works, I do think it opens your mind up to what it can do. Like one of the things
Mhm.
that right now that this is one of the more interesting times I've been through in my life. The last time I can remember this was in the late 90s, early 2000s when we were trying to figure out what the internet was.
Mhm.
Um, is people know AI exists. People know it can do all this stuff. People know they can like make their dog look like a human, you know what I mean? Or whatever,
Mhm.
right? Like they can play with it, like that kind of stuff. But we don't know enough about it to know what it can be used for. So it's like if someone pulled into your driveway and put a lawnmower on your driveway and said, "Shawn, what are you going to do with that?" And they didn't tell you what it was. You just go, "Oh, well, I cut my grass with that. That's a grass cutting machine."
Right.
And you could go and they're like, well, "I'm giving it to you." And it's like, "Cool." And you could use it to cut your grass. AI right now is a little bit like someone just comes and puts a thing that looks like half a tuba and half an Xbox and half a, guitar
Yeah.
and says, "Here." And I'm like, "I don't know what that is. Like, what is
Right.
that?
Right.
What can it
Yep.
even do?"
Yeah.
But I think what's really fun about AI is as you start doing these lower hanging fruits and just engaging with it as a tool, you start to go, "Wait a second. If it can do this, I could see how I can modify it slightly and I could use it." And that's where companies like yours provide giant value because you work with your clients and you already know all these ways that you can use it to improve. But an average person doesn't even begin to know how to deploy it.
Correct.
So that's where you go to a professional and say, "I need to get better at, their end goals, like I said, all the way back to the beginning, right? They're trying to solve a problem. I need more leads and I need to convert at a higher rate."
Yeah.
And you can come in and say, "Perfect. Not only do I have the tool, but I can show you all the ways to use the tool." So we can use, voice, we can use chat, we can create drip campaigns, we can create a constant communication pathway. We can drive this into landing pages. We
Yep.
can push video
Yep.
because a normal person just doesn't know that that's what the tuba Xbox, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
bicycle
Yeah.
thing does. And so like my thing is like if you just start to use it, you'll have these light bulb moments of like, "Oh my gosh, I'm just using this thing to make a document or I'm just using it for this, but there's this thing over here that's super manual that I could just take this and modify it slightly and put it on that and I could save myself
Yeah.
10 hours over here and 20 hours over here."
Yeah.
And it becomes an organic, like I always caution people to like go in and try to AIify everything, right? It's like that's going to be a disaster. It's too much
Yeah.
change.
It
Right.
is. We have clients from both ends of the spectrum when it comes to their ability to use AI. We have the ones that come in on the low end, like they're basically using it for like their Google search. That's how their search engine. And they'll do posts, write email scripts and all that. And then we have some on the high end, like we have recently, that come in already with their Claude list of they want this and this and this. And we just signed this week a big, I can't tell you the industry for purposes, but they came in already with an entire blueprint of what they wanted their high level system built out, which is good for us because like good, they've already did a little bit of homework. But even that, like you're saying, we had to run it back through and decipher because, you know, Claude, GPT, whatever can hallucinate sometimes, and it's not going to give you the precise. But we're able to take that. So they came to us, wanted to work with us. They already had the blueprint that they had got from Claude, which was pretty amazing. We took that, deciphered it, and turned it into something even better. So you're going to have both ends of the spectrum, but that's where having the right person or agency comes in, is because like everybody's scared, oh, AI is going to take jobs. It probably will. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in the past month on videos of different sectors that's going to replace, people. But if you, as long as you have any type of business where it's what you do at Mercer or what I do, this relationship based, it's only going to help you. Now, will it keep us from having to hire more people? Probably. And I've already seen that. Like we've been able to not have to hire more people yet because of it. And that's okay because our goal, just like your goal, anybody's goal should be more revenue. Once you get more revenue, then you can bring more people in for relationship building roles. I think that's going to be really big over the next 5 to 10 years. Is like AI is going to replace a lot of stuff, a lot of people, whatever. It's going to improve businesses, but if you're using it the right way, probably some of the employees you're going to, like for us, over the next 6 months, my next hire is going to be somebody that's relationship based. Like you're coming in, don't worry about the minutia of the fulfillment, sales, and all that. Nope. I want you, every other week, call Joe, call Susie, whatever, see how they're doing, send them, a gift, a card, whatever. Relationship. So that kind of brings us circles back to the front of the call so we can kind of go towards the end here. The relationships coupled with the right AI, automations, follow-ups, kind of brings it all together. So last question for you, Shawn, since we're getting close to time here, and you don't know this question, so I'm just going to throw it at you. If you had to build your role from scratch today using AI automation and modern marketing, what would you do differently to build partnerships faster? Like I know your cycle sometimes can be years before you bring it on. If you had to start over today and you're like, okay, I'm going to use AI automations, how are you going to kind of use it? I think I know the answer to this because we've both kind of discussed it a little bit before, but what would you do using AI automations and the modern stuff to 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 bridge that gap?
Um, my answer would probably be different if I had a little more time to think about this, but there's a couple things just off the top of my head. Um, I think the first thing would be to um
Maybe,
let it create touch points that make it not so hard on me, right? Like it doesn't have to always be phone calls. So to the degree at which I can inform or
educate, yeah.
or query,
Yeah,
right, my prospects slash customers slash clients, that's really important. Like I'm looking at doing that stuff now. Like how am I engaging with people, letting them know things are going on with us, that sort of stuff, and it not being
yeah,
this giant manual process. I think also for me, most of my when I engage with a prospect, I do a lot of research, right? Like I
yeah,
try to come in fully armed, right? Understand their business. How big is their business? Where does
yeah,
it operate? What's the geography? What lines of business are
yeah,
they in? Where are there any articles talking about what they're struggling with right now? Have they bought companies recently? There's just all these things that I think are important. I may never use them, but being on a call with somebody and going, yeah, they talk about something. I go, yeah, I saw where you guys just bought so and so. And they go, oh gosh, like, okay, you came prepared, right? Like
yeah,
that's not a, like, it might be some random company.
yeah.
Like, why would you wouldn't know that normally, right?
Yeah,
So,
and you can get that a lot easier now with the AI you're talking about. If
well,
you,
but that's the thing. So I use it for research a lot. Like I like build me a profile. So I'm a big customer profile guy. I like to build profiles and understand who they are because again, like I'm taking big swings, right? Like these are $250,000 deals. There's no like, oh man, I yucked that one up. Let me go out and find another one. Right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so I usually build a big profile about on my customers. So I know and I keep it in my CRM and it lives in there so I can go back to it and I understand, what they're doing. And that used to be really manual. It was me doing a lot of Google searching, building a spreadsheet, doing whatever. Now it's like I can cut AI loose and go, I need you to go give me a summary on these guys. Tell me where their officers are. Tell me where they're grow. Look for articles that, show where they're expanding or building offices or other marketing partnerships that they've done that they've issued press releases about. And I can just come in fully armed with, what I mean, a bunch of information
Yeah.
because that's another way you build credibility and trust. Like if you seem like a guy that knows stuff, people will go, "Oh, he knows stuff."
Yeah.
That's just instantly, right? Like if you've ever been at a party, like if you were at a party and mentioned something about AI and a guy started talking to you about like the new Opus, Claude Opus 4.6, he could just say Claude Opus 4.6 and his credibility score in your head would instantly go up because you,
Mm-hmm.
even by the fact that you know what that is,
Mm-hmm.
means that you're at least paying attention at a level that most people are not,
Yeah.
right? So
100%.
so what were you thinking? I'm now just running through some things. So what was in your mind when you thought about
No, I
changing?
mean, I think you're covered it. I think the big thing is that, going back to relationships, especially nowadays, you can't just rely on handshakes and referrals anymore. I mean, that's a big part of it. That's a staple. Like that's, in my opinion, that's probably at least half of it, depending on what industry you're in. But like we're talking about today, I think the real opportunity is combining connection with smart marketing, automation, research side. It's so much easier now. Like you can go so deep with the research on depending on which one that you choose to go into, and just being like you said, the using the resume part of it. You got 100 resumes, you can get it down to 10 quick. Saves you time. Research on a company profiles. I mean, obviously, Mercer has access to a lot of stuff, but the access we can get just from GPT for the deep thinking blows away anything 3, 4 years ago. So
No question.
it's almost like nobody has excuses anymore. But the main thing is kind of tying that all together. So kind of to wrap this up, partnerships matter, relationships matter, and nowadays AI and automation matters if you're using it the right way. Now, if you're going to use it on your own, like Shawn Arnold was talking about, just go, practice with it. At the very least, get the AI notes for your Zoom and your calls. Get something like Whisper that you can speak and it'll write your emails or to write anything. I mean, that's already saved me. That's saving me, good Lord, 30 to 45 minutes a day just doing that. And then now, guess what? I get excited about wanting to go do more stuff because I'm like, I don't have to, because I don't type fast anyway. I can talk fast. So I can roll out like in 20 minutes, I can roll out and look at all kind of other stuff and be prepared for our calls. So in your world, Shawn, I know you've been in it for a while, the relationship side. We both network, we do all of that. What is I asked, I think our last client, what is your favorite AI tool that you're using daily right now? This would be the last one we got here.
Oh gosh. Um, I, I mean, it's probably two. So I've been playing with, I mentioned Opus 4.6. I've been playing with it a bunch since it came out a couple weeks ago. And man, the thing is sexy. Like it just, it, I mean, I use it for more than just Google. So, I mean, I'm getting into it, but I just like the interface, the desktop. They have a desktop client you can actually download for that. And
Mm-hmm.
that does some really cool stuff where it helps iterate for you. Like, I don't know if you've played with it, but if you start asking it to do stuff now, it'll do a pop-up at the bottom that'll give you boxes you can click to say, what do you want to do
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
And for somebody that doesn't already know what their process is, I think that's
Yeah.
really helpful because it'll actually help you drive a process.
Yeah.
Like generally, I already know where I want to go, like my routing
Yeah.
pathway of what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get to. But if you don't, it's like, oh man, I didn't think about I need to
But
think
that
about that next.
helps.
Let's do that. Like
Yeah.
that's even that, like that helps in the strat piece, which is cool. So that kind of stuff's really fun. And then we actually have an agentic platform that we use inside of Mercer. So
Mm-hmm.
it's actually a platform that is an agent, a vibe code, whatever the term's going to be this week, a natural language agent builder. And so I mess with that a lot because these kinds of things, like, I've built little things like TLDR buttons, which if people don't, TLDRs too long didn't read, if people don't know that. But like I built a little agent and I then attached it to my Chrome So if I pull up an article or a web page and I look and it's long, I
Give
can
you a
just push
review.
the button and it'll just give me a 2 paragraph summary
That's
of
what I'm talking
whatever.
about. Yep.
So like that's just a quick, that's just something I built in this little agent builder. And I literally said, like, I just build me a button that I can attach to my Chrome that will just summarize the web page that I'm looking at the moment.
Yeah.
And it just codes that thing. And now I just got it.
Oh yeah.
So
That and I think everything's going to that. Like you mentioned that with Opus, the different box suggestions or whatever. Eventually in the next year, I think every one of them will have that because, like I said, it'll give you suggestions you didn't even think about. Mash that button. It's an easier step to go through. Two of the other ones that Javier and the team use a lot is lately is Claude and Manus. Those are amazing. But I do think, and I'm going to use this as an example. This is, folks, this is a calculator. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but it is because I love
like
numbers
this,
anyway.
this is my calculator.
There you go. Well, that's when I'm on the road. It is, but I'm going to use this as an example. I think this is my personal opinion, but where everything's going eventually, whether it's on your computer, on your phone, or whatever, using AI is going to be like this. This button, you just mash it, it's going to do that. That's going to do that. It might get to that simple, but you can't get to there unless you at least understand a little bit or get to the right people that know how to do that. Like you mentioned vibe coding. The team, we've been vibe coding lately. We've got some cool stuff. We just built, we replaced, and I hate to say it on this video, but I'm going to. We got rid of Monday.com because our guy vibe coded one that was similar to it without all that. Like they might have 800 features in there. We only needed 37. Within like a week's time, he's got this beautiful, I use it every day, this beautiful board now that makes more sense for task, the connections, internal, everything. That's only going to get bigger. We're now actually getting calls from companies like this franchise one that we're probably going to build a specific dashboard for them that would have been very hard to do even a year ago.
Sure.
Now we can make it happen. We got the right information and you can, you know what I'm saying? You can host it. So like maybe we'll do another call together in a couple months, Sean, where we can go deeper in all that stuff because I geek out on that like you do. But I want to appreciate you being on the call today. I know we've got so much history together, but I wanted to make sure that I got you on so that people can understand that even though you're at the university, kind of running the ship on the partnership side, marketing matters, relationships matters, and partnerships matters. All of those things have to be combined if you really want to grow. And I didn't realize until recently how big Mercer really is.
It's big.
Um, and so if anybody's listening, they're interested in maybe their kids going to Mercer, where's the best way for them to go find it? Y'all got a website, straight up
Yeah, it's
website?
mercer.edu. And so yeah, so I think if you have students that are interested in Mercer, that's obviously our, squarely. I mean, the mission of the university is to serve the students. So all this stuff we're doing, everything we do is all about that, right? The money I generate, the partnerships, it's all about enriching the student experience. So that's
Yep.
our goal. That's what we do. But I think things that people don't think about is we teach, right? People think about us teaching like traditional, undergraduate students, and we do that. But Mercer's also a doctoral university. We have graduate programs, we have PhD programs. So if you're an executive that is looking to go back for one thing or another, we do
Yeah.
that. And another thing we do is training, which is something that people don't think about. Like right now, we do Lean Six Sigma training for big companies. I'm not going to say who, but like I'm
Yeah.
talking about Fortune 500 businesses. But when we also do them for 10 person, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's the thing people don't think about. But if you need to upskill, and that's where I think companies, like, you need to be thinking about your employees sharpening their
Mm.
axe, because people now are always thinking about how to get better. And that's something that people don't consider. I think we call it executive education, but it's like we can come in and run an 8 week training program and get everybody like their Lean Six Sigma yellow belt or their
Yep.
green, like, or put them through a weekend green belt program.
Yep.
And all that is a process improvement, curriculum.
Yeah.
And now all your employees understand, like, how do you build a process? Why do processes matter? You know what I mean? What's a
Yeah.
good process look like? And most companies, I think, are deficient in like good process in good process codification. They don't write out what their processes are. But so if you're a company and you've got people that need training, you've got executive, we do a lot of that. And then obviously we have what I would consider more sort of philanthropic, like traditional, there's still people that want to put a banner in the football stadium, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When there's a football game because they want exposure for their business. Because, people forget, I mean, Mercer has a campus in Macon, a campus in Atlanta, a med school in Savannah, a med school in Columbus, regional centers in Henry and Douglas County. And then we've got rural health clinics all over the state of Georgia. So like Mercer's footprint is gigantic, right? It's
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
traditional undergrad campus in Macon. And so, we do a lot of stuff. We even have, and this is what's crazy. We have a master's in data science program, right? So these are
Hmm.
people that are master students that are just learning how to write and code Python scripts and figure out how to do data business intelligence, cut data up. We work with real companies, right? So it's a PhD or two and six master students doing inventory analysis or point of sale, you know what I mean? Cutting up data, like low hanging fruit on data assessment that they
Hmm.
can't do themselves that we can do. We can put a cohort of students and a professor on it and go, do you want to know you know, if you're a retail shop, do you want to know what your return rate is? Do you want to know what your restocking costs are?
Yeah.
Do you know that stuff? You probably don't. You've got all the data to know it. You just don't have anybody that knows how to cut the data up to tell you. We can engage with them and help them with that. And
Yeah.
and and that's where we're kind of a service business that you don't think about. Like you can go pay
That's
Anderson or
true.
Deloitte, $500,000 to do that for you, right? Or we can help. So for me, I think it's like I want people to think about the university as yes, it's a place where people can come get a degree, but we're ultimately educators and we do lots of training and we do lots of engagement with industry to help them learn
Yeah.
more about what they're doing. And that's where it gets fun because people are just like, oh man, like we did this project with Mercer, we learned all this stuff about our business and now our business is better.
Yeah. So anybody, whoever's watching, go check out Mercer University. They got so much to offer. And how long have they been around? 100 plus years?
Oh no, 1833 was when Mercer was founded. It's
1833.
the oldest private university in Georgia for sure.
Wow.
And that was in Penfield, Georgia, which is out west. It moved to
Yeah.
Macon. It moved to Macon on the site it's at now in 1871.
1871. Okay. So been around a
So
minute.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a
Great sports, everything. I mean, the past few years, they're coming up. Love it.
got football back. The baseball team's
When I
18 and
start
2 right
seeing them
now.
when I start seeing Mercer on ESPN, I'm like, okay, okay,
Yeah,
it's coming up.
it's come a long way from when we were sort of like when I even 30 years ago it was a little more of like a kind of sleepy liberal arts
Yeah,
college. And it's
yeah.
just the other thing that I will say just real quick about Mercer that people don't think about is that's I think used to us. We're for sure the most comprehensive university of our size in the country. Let me tell
Hmm.
you why. Mercer's about 10,000 students all in, about 4,000 undergrad, about 6,000 graduate students. But Mercer has a liberal arts college, a business school, an engineering school, um, an education school, a music school, a nursing school, pharmacy, health professions, law, medicine, COPA, which is professional advancement, which is like the adult ed program. So that's a
Hmm.
lot of people that are getting their degrees as a working adult.
Yeah,
Um, uh, I may have forgotten something, but most of the time, schools that are only 10,000 people don't do that much.
yeah.
So if you, so it's cool because you can get kind of that smaller, and not that there's anything wrong with going to a big state university. It's largely just about what you prefer. But if you prefer to be in a place that's like a little smaller, you get a little more attention, the classes are smaller, the professors are more engaged, with you individually because there's not jillions of people,
Yeah.
and you can really study just about anything, right? Like there's very few things that, we don't do.
Yeah.
And so I always encourage people to go, look, if you're looking for that sort of more close held, like one-on-one, kind of environment, and you can do lots and lots of stuff and you can move around easy. Like if you come in and you think you're pre-med, which 90% of students are like, I'm pre-med. And then they take organic chemistry and go, uh-oh, I'm not
Yeah.
pre-med. Um, and it's like, okay, well, I can move to the business school, or I can move to the engineering, I don't have to transfer, right?
Yeah.
I've got all this stuff internally, I can shift around. And so, that's just for us. I think
Yeah.
our big thing is like you can do lots of stuff here. Um, and you can move around. And we do a lot of cross stuff. So like, like we have a program, for example, where pharmacy students can get their MBA at the same time. Because how many
Mm,
times do you think like, oh gosh, doctors are terrible business people,
right.
right? Or lawyers are bad business
Yeah. That's
people. Like,
smart.
so we
Yeah.
have lots of things like, hey, you might be studying this, but why don't you also do this at the same time? Right. And then that way you've got, and we lean into business a lot because everything's business. So no matter what
Yeah.
you're doing, right? It's like take some business classes. Understanding how businesses work will serve you well in your career no matter what you do.
That is great, man. Y'all kind of cover a lot. So anybody's watching, make sure to check them out. I know I was years ago, God, it's probably been 25 years. I was down there for some type of event on the Mercer campus. Beautiful place down there, Macon, Georgia. So that is our show for today. Shawn, thanks again for being on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna bring you back in a few months. Anybody that's listening, if you've made it this far, don't forget if you have any marketing needs, AI automation, funnels, anything like that, we're the guys to call. So you can book a discovery call, look down in the description, and we'll see everybody next time.